video is an introduction to double-stranded color work, which is what you do when you knit in Fair Isle with two colors like this. And this is just a little practice swatch you can do. There's the pattern for this on the Cushion of Joy site. And first, to get started, I think it is by far the best to hold each color of yarn one in each hand. So your main accent color will be held in your left hand. So this is the one that you want to show up a little bit more. So for me, it's the blue is what I want to show up. So I'm holding the blue in my left hand, knitting Continental. And then I will hold my other color, my white in this case, in my right hand like I would be knitting English. And then depending on what your chart says, you just use that color of yarn. So I'll show you what that means. But here on this chart, I am ready for this row 10. And I prefer to do this not on a printed paper, but actually using the Knit Companion app. And then you can see here where I can slide up that yellow highlight bar to show exactly the row that I'm on. And if it's a very complicated pattern, I can move the blue vertical bar so that I can focus on the next section of stitches. This one's pretty simple though, and so just to show you, you start at the bottom right corner as your first knitting. And this one, the pattern tells you to repeat the chart 2 times. It's very common for a pattern to tell you that you'll repeat the same chart multiple times. Sometimes they'll just give you this little piece and say you'll repeat that 10 times, for example. Then you just knit. If you're knitting in the round like this, as most Fair Isle is, it's in the round and every stitch is knit. And so then you just choose the color based on what it shows you in the pattern. So I am here on row 10. I've done the first 3 stitches. So you can see I'm going to do 1 white, 2 blue, 3 white, 2 blue. 1 white, 2 blue, 3 white, 2 blue. So that's my repeating pattern. We can then take a look at how that works. So again, dominant color is in my left hand. If you don't want to do it this way, you need to think about your dominant color being held underneath the other color of yarn. But you don't have to worry about which one is over or under if you just hold the dominant color in your left hand and the other color in your right hand. So my next stitch is 1 white. So I'm just knitting, and then I will wrap that one with the white yarn. And now I need 2 blue. So I knit 1 blue, 2 blue. A trick is every time you switch colors to scooch the stitches along, because what can happen right here is I'm switching back to the white. So now I need 3 white stitches. If I'm not careful, I can pull the yarn too tight through that gap of the couple stitches. You'll see this is what it looks like on the back. Let me show you that. So you can see that it's carrying all of those floats. But if you're not careful and it gets too bunched up, then it'll be really puckery on the front. It won't be able to lay flat. There won't be enough give in the stitches. So the way you prevent that from happening is to make sure you're not pulling too tightly when you're switching between your colors in particular. So I just scooch them down a little bit. So now I need 1 white. You can see it's just like usual knitting, but it is particularly handy to keep everything straight if you can knit with both of your hands, with 1 color in each hand. And that's really all there is to the basic stitch. There's one other thing I wanted to show you. When you're on row 12, that's the first row where there's a long stretch of white. There are 7 white stitches in a row. And as a general rule, I was always taught that you don't want to carry your floats more than 4 or 5 stitches at most. And so we need to sort of anchor them, which we do by twisting them. And I wanted to show you that as well. So here I've done my 1 blue stitch. I'm ready for 7 white stitches. So in this first row, I'm going to do 3 white to start. And now I need to just kind of put an anchor. So what I do is I just move one skein over the other, actually just twist them, And then you continue on. I continue on with the white color, just like I was doing. So I got 2 more, and then I'll stop and show you what that looks like. And then we get to the 1 blue stitch. So from the front, it still just looks normal. On the back, I put 1 little twist here that kind of anchors it. You could do that same thing if you have a couple of rows. Let's say you have 2 rows in the middle of your pattern that are white before you return to the blue. I would not cut off the blue and restitch it in at my stitch marker where the beginning of the round is. I would simply twist it around just like that, just like we just did. And like this one, the little kind of anchoring twist, and then just carry it up the back. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more time. The other thing is from row to row, though generally you don't want to put the twist in the same place. So maybe on this whole row I'll twist every 3, but if there were another row after that, maybe instead of 3 and then 4, I would do 4 and then 3, so that the twist is happening in a different place. But here we are again, ready to go. I've got my 2 sides. I'm going to gather up my white skein of yarn, cross it over, so it just makes a little bit of a twist, and then I go right back again to the same color that I was doing, and it just sort of anchors it so it's not floating so long across the back without anything holding it in place. It's just a little like anchoring twist right here. And that is really, those are the main things you need to know. One other thing to think about is that most people knit a little bit more tightly when they're doing the color work. So some people go up a needle size. I actually usually go up 2 needle sizes. So if the rest of my project is in size 6, I might use a size 8 needle for the color work and then go back to my smaller needle again. You can actually see I'm getting so much of this curl here. You always get curl with stockinette, but I'm getting so much of it because I didn't do that. I just used the same size needle in this entire swatch, and the stitches aren't laying as well as they normally might. So that really is what you need to know to get started. I hope you try the practice swatch and then maybe try a real project like the sheep hat that's also on the site. Happy knitting!